that.
Here's another hot take. MJF is just basically the Miz who is not as nearly as good as talking.
You're 1,000% wrong.
100% right. Because if you guys, I seen MJF matches, they're not that good, and I think the Miz is just as good, if not better, on the mic. So I think it's a hypocritical thing to say that the Miz sucks.
No.
And MJF is this guy because the Miz is better than MJF guys. Christmas, you fuck.
It's Christmas time, it's Christmas time, it's Christmas you fuck. It's Christmas time, it's Christmas time, it's Christmas you fuck. It's Christmas time, it's Christmas time, it's Christmas you fuck. It's Christmas time, it's Christmas time, it's Christmas you fuck. Christmas, 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 fuck, fuck, fuck. Christmas, 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 fuck, fuck, fuck. Christmas, 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 fuck, 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 fuck.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition, a holiday edition, end of the year edition of the Put Me Over podcast, episode 88. I am your host, Andrew Gomez, a.k.a. The Mez, joined today by my lovely, wonderful, oh so jolly co-host to my right. You know him. You love him. He is the 10th wonder of the world, the puncher of walls, Dickalicious himself, Richard Garcia.
Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome back.
And also joining out the crew. You know him. You love him. He is the Pinoy powerhouse, the jinglest of all the jingle balls, Byron Pagdalao.
Hey guys, happy holidays, motherfuckers.
Happy holidays.
I tried to give you like a Christmassy name, but I really couldn't think of one on the spot.
Christmas chink.
That's one.
Merry Chinkmas.
Merry Chinkmas.
Deck the hall with Peggy Balls.
There it is.
Dang, Asians are even underrepresented in like fucking racist slurs. That's kind of sad.
Right. There's not that
Gooks.
many.
We got gook.
Oh, that Zipperheads is another one.
Zipperhead's a really mean one.
Shout out to Clint Eastwood for that one.
When did he say that?
Was
Gran
that
Torino.
Gran Torino, yeah.
Oh, shit, good for you, Clint.
We're just, you know, we can say those words because you're here.
you guys can't. Like the world can't.
Yeah. Yang Gang 2020.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm actually really voting for him. Are you guys?
I don't know who I'm voting for yet.
Well, I can't vote for the primaries because I'm not a registered Dem. But if he happens to win Democratic nomination, which I don't think
he's not going to, but yeah.
But I would vote for him.
Bernie all day. Bernie's been my boy since 2016.
Are you voting? Are you guys voting for the Dem? Are you guys registered Dems?
I am.
Who are you guys gonna vote for?
I don't know yet. I still haven't decided on who's gonna be the best candidate.
It's hard to narrow it down from 20.
Yeah. It really is. It really is.
They're kind of fucking themselves right now by having these many. There should just be one clear cut or a couple clear cut people. There's way too many people. It's more of a reality show right now, I think, than anything.
Oh, it's a shit show.
But you guys didn't tune in to hear about politics. You guys tuned in to listen to professional wrestling podcasts. So let's get into it. Before we get into the show, though, and it's going to be a doozy, we got to give it up to our sponsors. We got to give it up to lapelyad.com. If you're in the market for some wrestling merchandise, look no further. Go to lapelyad.com. Use our promo code PUTMEOVER, and in turn, that website will put you over, and you get 20% off your entire order. Act fast, as always, and go to their Instagram and turn on their notifications. Also, make sure you go to our friends at Grudge Match Brand on Instagram for all the latest and greatest in rock and roll and pro wrestling mashup merchandise. The great people doing great things. I expect nothing but the best from them to come out in 2020. We're on our way. And, you know, I also got to give a shout out to ourselves. PutMeOver.com for all of your Put Me Over merchandise wants and needs. Get a t-shirt with Dick's face on it. It's a great stocking stuffer. He's a great stocking stuffer. And you use the promo code Kofi4ever. That's Kofi, the number 4 and ever for 20% off your holiday Put Me Over wants and needs. And that's going to do it for the plugs, I think.
Our last plug of 2019?
Last butt plug of 2019. It's been a great year. This one's going to be more of a recap show. more of a things we liked this year. Very jolly.
Our year in awards, you could say the least.
Oh, yeah.
The Put Me's.
The pull me's.
First ever annual Put Me's.
First ever annual Put Me's are going to be announced. We got some winners. We got some losers. We also got some jobbers. But first, before we get into any of that, are you ready? Let's get into the news. Let's get into some Dick's Dirty News. Take it away, Dick.
Well, this one's gonna be a abbreviated version of the news. We didn't get a chance to cover much of what happened the following week regarding really wrestling in general, but a lot did happen on the last weekend of wrestling in 2019, especially here in North America. The NWA did have their pay-per-view Into the Fire. I didn't get a chance to watch the match I wanted to see, which was Nick Aldis versus James Storm. I heard it was a very good match, as a matter of fact.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised by those two. But the ending of that match is actually kind of a shocker, as Marty Scurll makes his debut in NWA.
That's huge.
That's huge right there.
That's a big get, dude.
He's easily the biggest free agent on the market.
Where was he at before? Where was he signed?
Ring of Honor.
He was
Honor.
like signed up for Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
He was Ring of Honor. So we know for sure that his contract with Ring of Honor is now officially up. He's officially a free agent, and his first stop is going to be in the NWA. He's going to be challenging. It looks like he's going to be challenging Nick Aldis for the NWA title at their next pay-per-view coming up in February. So that should be quite interesting. And if you were Marty Scurll, what would you guys be doing? Like, how would you play it out?
Interesting move.
As far as
like his post Ring of Honor career at the moment.
I would have went to, well, you know where I'm gonna go.
go on tour, on tour, go hit up all the little areas, make some money before you commit to one company, AEW, and go from there.
But like, it would have been weird. Like, that's just a weird choice. I thought he would be an AEW guy all the way. Doesn't it seem like that? But
That would be like the worst kept secret, because because his friends are in AEW.
Right.
I mean, they started a
Being the
promotion
Elite show?
for Christ's sake. I think at the same time, like, to me, like, you want to play it all out. You want to try to get as much as you can. You know, I mean, he may end up going back to New Japan for a little bit. For all we know, he is at NWA at the moment. At the end of the day, he could end up going to AEW. If he does go to WWE, I would be rather shocked if he does. But it's not a bad move, to say the least.
Money
if
talks.
he's in NXT, if he's on the main roster, it's not going to work out.
I also wonder what NWA paid him. That's a big get for them. So I wonder who, like, you guys watch the show. It looks like it's made out of $30 budget, yeah, but in a good way, right? So I'm kind of curious to see where they got the funding to get a big get like that.
Well,
Or
they
what his
have
contract
Billy Corgan, and
Yeah,
that's a huge.
Right.
I would probably say they got the money from the song 1979.
Oh yeah.
All those royalties are still paying off.
Damn. So yeah, I'm assuming, I'm not a betting man, but I don't know the numbers, but I'm assuming you probably got like a high 6-figure deal with NWA at least.
That would be a little too high right there. But I think
Think?
that's a little too much. But the point being is that he's out there kind of seeing like he can go wherever he wants, face new opponents, recurring opponents, especially with Nick Aldis. They did have a title match earlier in the year, so that's another key with their rivalry to play in as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see where Marty Scurll is going to be in 2020.
I get the feeling that he's there on like a per appearance deal. I don't think he's like getting paid like anything like solid. I think here's $5,000. Come make an appearance for 10 minutes, whatever.
Wrestled 3 matches for what, 20,000?
Yeah, it's probably not Brock Lesnar money.
No,
right.
But
Nobody gets that.
He's getting a good chunk of change. He's probably doing a favor too. Because NWA, after the whole Jim Cornette fallout, definitely needed something to give them the boost to come back up from where they were, because everyone loved NWA Power. It was like the best kept secret, and word of mouth, it was getting out there. The Jim Cornette thing happened, and I'm assuming that the ratings kind of went down from there, because I kind of lost interest after that too.
It did. In the beginning, they were doing pretty well for YouTube. I think there were some around maybe 600,000 views.
Jesus.
Which is not bad. And then now they're just barely pulling in the tens of thousands. So they definitely did have a sharp decline. A lot of it was with the Jim Cornette fiasco. Now that season 2 is officially started as of this past Wednesday, they revamped the roster. Now they have Stu Bennett as the color commentator,
Great get.
which I think is a great get as well. Nick Aldis is officially confirmed as a heel. Now he has a new faction, so maybe this is a new this is some new hope right here for the NWA to go forward and hopefully build from there.
I like the Star Wars reference you just
well
put
done,
in there.
well done.
It was perfect because
That's
Star Wars
perfect.
is like hot right now.
And it's out right now.
You know, I never wished anybody a Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Do Asians celebrate something different?
Yeah, we Merry Christmas.
But yeah, I forgot that this is our Christmas episode and our year-end episode. So thank you. I was gonna insert some jingle bells or something. I think I could right now.
Sleigh bells.
Yeah, some sleigh bells.
There you go.
You can hear them now. Wait, what did you say?
Ching, 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 ching.
But yeah, definitely. Before we keep going on with the news, I just want to thank each and every one of our listeners out there that have been supporting us, have been reaching out to us, telling us that they enjoy the show. Definitely want to give us a thank you to anyone that left us an iTunes review. They definitely go a long way with helping get the word out there. So if you haven't, a Christmas present to us would be to leave us a 5-star review.
There you go.
Or a 1-star review if you absolutely hate our show. But I don't think we're 1-star worthy. What would Meltzer rate this show?
5.5.
5.
Hopefully.
5.5 out of 5.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Man.
No, but thank you guys again. Keep spreading the word. We're available on all platforms. I'm trying to work on the Spotify thing. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but hopefully in the new year I can get us back on Spotify. But we're available everywhere else. Spotify's the big one though, and also just keep an eye on the YouTube channel. There's gonna be more content in the new year. I think we're gonna have to reschedule the show because doing it on a Saturday, I feel like it's a disservice to our listeners. And it's kind of hard for us too, especially like on the weekends when we're either working or hungover or something. It's not really fun to have to get the show out so fast. So we're probably gonna have to change our scheduling a little bit. Maybe do what I was thinking is doing like a YouTube exclusive for like Raw on Mondays,
Right.
and then we can just talk NXT from Wednesday on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a SmackDown review on Friday or something like that.
Yeah, we can figure out the scheduling.
Yeah,
or the content.
But there's definitely gonna be more content. But thank you guys for riding with us. Our ride or dies, our put me overs. Did we ever think of like a nickname for our fans?
Not yet. Well, it's all a work in progress at this point.
Yeah.
But the Put Me's is a cool name. The Dandies.
Yeah. So that was my little rant, guys. So with that being said, let's get back into the news. What else we got out there, Dick?
There's really not a whole lot of news that we could talk about. Let's just go ahead and get into like the stories of the year. Like I think that's really
Well, I did want to talk about the other hottest free agent out there,
which is
Killer Cross.
Oh.
I think that's what. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I think it's more of a recurring theme of this year as well, as far as wrestlers signing these contracts and wanting to get out and getting requested to get out, because that is a recurring theme of 2019, which has been a pretty big story throughout the year. Killer Cross is the latest example of a wrestler who just got out of his contract, and for those that have been following for the past year or so, he's been trying to get out of Impact for a good while.
Oh yeah.
His girlfriend Scarlett Bordeaux is signed to NXT, so one would think that's going to be the likely way he's going to go. And he's got the intangibles to be a big star in NXT, and maybe also to a lesser extent the main roster as well. I mean, at this point they're both kind of equal, but the point being is that he got out of his contract, which is a list of other wrestlers who were also getting out of their contracts this past year. The most prime example being ACH.
Yeah, I mean that was the big bridge burning, get me the fuck out of wrestling demise of ACH. Then you got the other guys like Luke Harper, Sin Cara, the Ascension. I don't think the Ascension asked for it. I think they were granted it.
They're probably just like, fuck. I hope they don't release this. I hope they don't release this. And then they eventually got released. But
once
once ACH got released, then that's when the floodgates opened.
Yeah, like might as well make it easy for tax purposes.
Yeah. Let's make it official.
Which goes into question. And I'm going to cut you off. Which goes into question, like, as a scene it is now, like, what's the best idea? Is it a good idea to sign a 5-year contract and get the big money, and then what's going to happen 5 years from now? Do you go year by year? I mean, how do you guys look at the situation right now involving wrestlers in these big time contracts?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Speaking of like 5-year contracts, a New Day have all re-signed new 5-year contracts. a lot of people are signing these 5-year contracts, and it kind of sucks for the lower to mid card guys that sign these 5-year deals, and then they just don't get used, and then like an AEW will pop up and like, damn, I could be over there getting used way more, like Mike Kanellis, for instance,
Right.
who signed a 5-year deal after begging to get out of his contract.
Stupid ass.
I don't know. I think 5 years it's a long time. Get ready to
And
spend
even if
half
it's not
a
5
decade.
years, it's for an extended period of time. It could be 3 years, 2 years. I mean, it's a really long time because a lot can change in that time frame.
I think it's great, depending on what your goal is. Like, financial security for a wrestler is not the easiest, especially, you
Yeah.
come up broke as fuck.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, signing, especially if you're signing with WWE for 5 years, that's a big time event. I think that should be congratulated and looked forward to. Again, if you're the New Day, your goals are a lot different than if you're a Kenny
Humberto
Omega.
Carrillo.
Right, because their goal is to establish them. I would think their goal is to be a household name or WWE champ or whatever. But in the end, every wrestler's goal is to be wrestling for a lot of money, and to get a 5-year deal from a big company like WWE, I think that's a big thing that people take for granted. That should be congratulated. I think that should be a goal. But again, it really just depends on individuals, like what their long-term, short-term goals are.
Yeah, I think if I was a wrestler, I would only want to sign like a 2-year deal.
Right.
Like I think that's what AJ Styles has been doing. Just I'll re-sign for 2 years, but I'd like to have the option at the end of that 2 years to think about either A, getting more money, or B, going somewhere else.
Like the LeBron James does. Like he didn't sign a lot of long-term contracts so he can play his options. So it just depends on, it probably means get better people around you, business people around you, or figure out your plan. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's on an individual basis. But you can't complain if you sign a 5-year fucking contract and be like, I want to get out. No, motherfucker, you signed it.
You signed it like
and that's
2
what-
months ago.
Yeah, chill out.
And
like-
you know what was going to happen if you were to sign. And but I think the landscape has changed so much compared to a year ago that there are now more options on the table. You don't necessarily have to be in WWE to make the big money. You can go to other promotions as well. I mean, AEW popping up is a prime example of where, if it wasn't for AEW, a lot of these wrestlers are not going to get these big contracts. That and then
No
the
way.
TV deals as well. Those are the two big factors that changed the landscape.
And Saudi Arabia.
And Saudi Arabia, it's another thing with all that money that they're pumping in. So on the one hand, a lot of these guys, maybe they're getting paid more than they really are worth, but at the same time, they're getting paid a percentage to what the profits are for the company. So there are options out there to make money. WWE is not just the only one. It's not the be all end all like it once was. There's options out there for others, and for some wrestlers, it may not necessarily be money itself. If you're a family, obviously you want to have your financial security for your family long term. That's number one. I understand that. But for other wrestlers, it could be a creative outlet.
Right.
And there's been a few wrestlers that have left because they want to get that creative outlet. Prime example being Jon Moxley.
Mox.
Whack ass Mox. But yeah, to jump off what Dick's saying, it's wrestlers are artists to us, right? They're performers. So a lot of them like to have, it's the same way a musician or actor would love creative control on any project they're on.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess, you can go for the art side of it or you can go for the business side of it. It just really depends. But there's so many outlets for wrestlers to make money now. They have a lot of freedom. So if I were like someone searching for artistic control, don't sign a long-term contract,
Don't sign that
motherfucker.
contract. Exactly.
Jesus.
You start talking about people with like other things going on outside of wrestling. You actually were able to be in the presence of a WWE superstar recently.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Of course, I could talk about a little of it. So I produced a podcast with Mandy Rose as a guest, and let me tell you, like, I think she's one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever met in my life.
Is she like one of those hot girls that doesn't know she's hot and is nice to everybody?
Well, she talks about her past, about how she grew up with like a lot of brothers, so it's easy. It must be tough to date guys, and you can see how she's very tomboyish, just based on the fact that she's a professional wrestler.
Tight.
She's very physical. But like just talking to her and seeing her journey, I'm more convinced now, like I was telling you guys before we got in, that she should be a WWE champion one day. I think she has all the tools. Only thing is if she gets that push or if she focuses on that. Because like I mentioned, she has other business ventures that a lot of wrestlers want to do. They get into wrestling to branch out, right? So I think if she focuses on being a wrestler, the sky's the limit. She has the moveset, she's physical, she has the package,
But she can also like do like a fitness app is what
Right.
she's doing now, or like
Right.
that donut shop she's doing,
Right.
or probably some kind of modeling career as well.
Right. Shout out to Mandy Rose for being the super sweetest wrestler ever, and her publicist Lillian, who was super nice to deal with. But yeah, I can't wait till you guys see that. And yeah, she's probably in better shape than all of us combined. She's insanely.
I
fit.
wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. And it was good just to talk to her about stuff about wrestling and like her insight on it, because she's obviously on TV every week. So
Yeah, literally on the inside of it.
yeah.
You guys have gotten some pretty big guests on your podcast. What can you plug your podcast?
Yeah, so it's called Growth Minds. It's a partnership that Shopify has with the great Sean Kim. Shout out to you. But yeah, we had Dennis Rodman, Sugar Ray Leonard, Timothy Delgado, Anna Akana. She's a dime piece in real life, Jesus. But yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'll plug it. I'll show you guys more of that when it's out. We just released the Rodman episode a couple days ago, so
It looked
I'll link
awesome.
you guys. Yeah, it's amazing. It's good work.
Did you get to talk to him about any of his time in the NWO?
No, because his wife / I don't want to say that, but no, we did it. yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely keep your eyes up for that. I saw your Instagram story and like just seeing you that close to Mandy Rose. I'm like, God damn it!
It's kind of starstruck.
That's
Quite radiant.
freaking awesome.
Quite radiant.
Yeah, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman.
She's always got that glow. I feel like.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome, dude.
She'll beat my ass though.
She beat all of our asses at the same time. What else do we got? Are we done? Can we get into the put me's?
I think it's about time. Do you guys have anything you want to add as far as
Just the
well, I guess it's a nice segue as far as this year. Like we could reflect on 2019 because it's definitely been a very, I don't want to say a interesting year to say in the pro wrestling landscape. A lot has definitely happened within the past 12 months.
right.
It's not the same. It's a different landscape from January to January.
Right.
It's a completely different product. There's so much wrestling now to watch. There's another major company giving competition.
Major Jace.
Well, we'll get into that.
We'll talk about that. But it's not just AEW. There's also other outlets as well. We mentioned with NWA coming back. MLW has their own YouTube show.
WMAC Masters.
Oh my God!
Throwback. And then that's just here in North America.
You got
also
New
got
Japan?
New Japan World,
New
New
Japan.
Japan. You got CMLL, Triple. There's a lot of wrestling going on right now. So overall, let's go and talk about this. What is the biggest story so far in 2019? What do you guys think it is?
The biggest story.
Well, do you,
wrestling wise.
do you guys want to go down the list?
Oh, we can do that.
We
But
can-
before we start that,
Okay.
TLC was last week, right?
Yes.
TLC was last week. I am the put me over champion for that week.
You won.
I won. I guess it came down to the Bobby Lashley match, and I guess Lashley,
Oh, that
because I knew they weren't going to stop that storyline
hell
anytime
no.
soon.
It's going until WrestleMania. But
Oh God! Please don't put that hex on us.
real quick, one of the thoughts that I thought of when I was watching TLC, which was a great, I thought it was like a B+ pay-per-view. I had some decent matches, but the Buddy Murphy match and Aleister Black match,
Yeah.
if that was an AEW match, all the marks in the world would be creaming all over their crusty jeans, dude. I think that match was so good. Even the crowd there didn't know what to do. I think it was kind of an awkward match because it was not to be expected, and they gave him a lot of time.
And it came off right after that New Day tag ladder match, right?
Which was fire also.
Um,
Those two matches alone were just more interesting than anything AEW's put out. Sorry, guys.
Oh, come on.
The biggest
Are you
hater
serious?
is here, guys.
Are you
The
serious?
biggest hater is here.
Wow.
God, that is a hot take.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that. First of all, those two matches did not put over the show. The rest of the show after that was such a drag. Not only the match, but also the story and the pacing all the way through was just.
What about the Fiend though? The Fiend Miz.
I was not a fan of that.
Here's another hot take. MJF is just basically the Miz who is not as nearly as good as talking.
You're 1,000%
No, I'm
wrong.
100% right.
Uh-uh.
Because if you guys, I seen MJF matches. They're not that good, and I think the Miz is just as good, if not better, on the mic. So I think it's a hypocritical thing to say that
No.
the Miz sucks.
No.
And MJF is this guy because the Miz is better than MJF, guys.
The difference being between those two is that MJF is a lot younger. The Miz
Way
has at
younger.
least 10 plus years in the business.
Right, but we're talking about right now. We're not talking about potential. I'm saying on an even playing field
Okay.
right now where they're at, I think the Miz is better than MJF. Sorry, Mark,
in the
but
ring,
that's true.
in the ring.
I think all around the mic, the ring, because MJF's not that good in the ring. He's not smooth. He needs work.
He
bro.
does need work. Yes, I'll give him
He's
that.
just a talker right now. I mean, if he was,
But he's the best talker.
He's the best talker that they
Yeah,
have in
but
AEW.
That's not saying much. Like, who's the best talker in AEW is Chris Jericho, because what he's doing now, I'm never gonna take any. I think he's doing fantastic work right now. He's,
Cody gives the best promos.
putting on the back of Cody's decent, but there's just I always had a biased dislike for Cody. I don't know why. Maybe because of Stardust.
Okay,
AEW.
Vince.
Well,
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, but you got to take away past the Stardust era and what he's done in AEW as far as him on the promo. He's done leaps and bounds from what he ever did in WWE.
But let's get back to like how MJF is the same as the Miz, but the Miz is better.
No, I'll disagree with you 1,000%. MJF gets real heat. All right, the Miz on his best day being a bad guy couldn't touch MJF on the mic.
Man, and the Brian Miz thing was a career launcher for both. I thought it solidified Miz as someone who can compete on the mic.
You mean the talking smack thing?
Yeah. To me,
That
from
was
that,
30
That was-
seconds.
what
and
I'm
that was
saying,
3
though,
years ago.
And that's all it takes sometimes. Like if you got it and worked to it, and there's something to be said about a guy who's grinded and figured it out over time, right? So I think that's a credit to Miz, not a discredit that it took him that long, that he was able to grind and hustle his way to where
We
he's
weren't
at.
saying it's a discredit to Miz. I mean, it's taken him. Yes, you're right. 10 plus years to get where he's at right now. Now
You
the
mean
difference
event at
between
WrestleMania.
the difference between those two is that it's not really quite an even playing field. I will give you that. The Miz isn't allowed to say certain things that MJF is allowed to say. So there is a difference between those two as far as what can be said, what can't be said. I will give you that. You're right about that.
Right.
As far as delivery goes, as far as passion goes, I mean, I think if Miz has something he can sink his teeth into, he could be one of the better promo. I've always said he's one of the best promos in WWE if he has something he can sink his teeth into.
Top 5
consistently. It is top 5 WWE. MJF right now, every promo that he's done so far in AEW, and even before that, even before on the indie scene, he's been one of the best guys on the mic. There's no question about that. I mean, I would put him up there as in a Samoa Joe category, and even in the Chris Jericho promo and Cody Rhodes, he's up there.
Well, Jericho's the god of promos. He's on a class by himself. Well, with like 5 other guys. But what my argument is, I'm saying is MJF is a great mic. He's a good mic. Let's not say great. He's decent, not that good of a wrestler. I think Miz is that same thing. So to judge Miz harshly on certain things.
I don't think we've seen enough MJF in AEW to be able to say if he's a good wrestler or not.
I broke down I was like, okay. I watched a lot of his matches on YouTube. I'm like, he's not that good in ring. His mic work, I get. But the Miz is the same thing. I think
The Miz wasn't very good in the beginning either.
that's what I'm saying. But like Miz's mic work, I'm talking about how they're equating now. I think Miz is above him. Miz is a better. You heard it here, guys. Miz is a better performer all around.
Right now, okay.
Than MJF.
Okay,
Give
right,
MJF
right
10
now,
years.
Yes.
We'll
He's
see.
got a
We'll
head
see.
start.
He should be better than MJF.
Yeah, and I'm proud of
I mean,
you, Miz. I love
MJF should
you.
be better than Miz.
But MJF is better than Miz. I think in every category. I'd much rather, because when the Miz was on top, right? When he was WrestleMania, he was never the focal point of that feud at all.
Right.
He's always had something like a title. Whenever he's peak form, he needs a title. MJF does not need a title to make himself and his opponent over his shit. Dude, the thought of Cody versus MJF after everything we've seen, this has been building for so long. And then now we're going to finally get the payoff for this. I'm way more excited about that than any Miz match I've ever seen.
Well, I think the Miz Fiend match.
The Misfit, the
was
best part,
underrated.
that best part of that match, okay, was when Daniel Bryan came back, the American Dragon, de-aged himself 10 years by just a shave and a haircut. That was the best part of that. That was the only part that
the only good part
anyone
of
was
that
talking
match, I
about.
will say.
No, but I think what caused that moment to be so great was the story that how the Miz and Fiend, the Fiend going into Miz's house, like how corny and like
It was just like a scary movie. I liked that.
That shit is fantastic.
I thought that was
work.
awesome. But is that because the Miz is good or because the Fiend character?
I think it's both equal parts because I think
No,
I think because Miz made me feel that way. If it was like Joe Schmo, the only other
Samoa
person,
Joe?
just Samoa Joe would do a great job at it. But like, if it was just some other wrestler, insert whoever, anybody from even AEW or WWE in that fact, I think Miz really catapulted that story.
I feel like
I don't think he really did. I mean, I don't think he did. I think right now he's just a placeholder for what's going to end up happening. That's all I see Miz right now at the moment is just a placeholder for the Daniel Bryan Fiend match that's going to happen eventually down the road.
After that Miz Shane feud, what has the Miz been doing exactly? Hosting Miz TV.
I think he's been.
He's been just fucking out there on a boat by himself, dude. He hasn't had anything really to do. The Fiend versus Miz. The outcome of that match was never in question because the Miz really is gonna beat the Fiend, who Daniel Bryan.
It was Bray at that time.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact. Oh yeah, it was Bray Wyatt, but like still like. The fact that the Miz was ever thought that he had a chance in this match is laughable because he's the Miz. But then you think of a guy like Seth Rollins or a Daniel Bryan that had the same opportunity. Those guys had literal, like, they had an actual chance of maybe winning that match. Maybe Daniel Bryan at this especially more.
Right.
Go ahead.
But, I mean, that's pretty much it.
And you look at the Miz this year. He started off feuding with Shane McMahon. And it looked like that it was going to accumulate to where the Miz was going to get his one-up on Shane McMahon. Remember that match they had at WrestleMania? That was this year.
Oh, yeah. That was the False Count Anywhere match?
False Count Anywhere match.
Where,
When they fell on him and he pinned him?
Yes.
Yeah.
And ever since that happened, the Miz has been very cold. I don't think he has not picked up traction ever since then. And that was a perfect time to put the Miz over and establish himself as a top babyface. But him as a babyface right now he's just
no good.
It's not good compared to what he could be.
Right. And is that because it's not the Miz's fault? It's creative's fault in that regard, right? So
they have nothing for him.
They have nothing for him, and you're right. It is creative's fault. They really haven't done much for him. I think at this point he is poorly utilized as a babyface.
Or just as a performer in general. There's so many things you can do with the Miz, right?
Also think about the fact that they turned him babyface, right? But they didn't change anything about his character for me to think like, oh, he is a good guy now.
Until recently, if you think about it.
Well, even just look at his entrance attire. He's still coming out with the same entrance attire that like made him an annoying heel. You know, he comes out with those annoying glasses. They haven't done anything to make the Miz feel any different than he did before. Until recently, when like now he's a family man and now like he cares about his daughter.
And that's what changed him to be more of a babyface, was to have that attribute, have him be more of a family man.
But it took him a year to lean into that. Sorry, the Miz is not as good as you think he is.
Dude, well, so shout out to the Miz for having a decent year. But we can leave this here.
Below average year.
Agree with me. Comment like if you think that the Miz is way better than MJF. Or they're the same fucking person to me. Like, as far as what the roles are right now. But, yeah. Comment like, disagree, agree with me, because you know you want to. Love you.
All right.
What else we got, Dick?
Let's just get into our put me's.
Yeah.
Ooh, first annual.
First annual awards. Let's how do you guys want to break down these categories? Do you want to just go
Let's
down?
do it by each
You want
category.
the jobbers first? Jobber of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
We
might
can
as
start from
well.
the bottom up.
And you guys have submitted a lot of great
Yes.
answers, and you crack me up, some of you guys.
Yeah.
agree with one of you guys, and I'll let you know who my jobber of
All
the
right,
year
so
is.
jobber of the year. Let's go ahead and pull it up.
We should write down our results and have a poll and see who agrees with the best or whatever. But I'm going to agree with this listener here. I put it up, and I started cracking up because I didn't even think of it. He's such a jobber. EC3 is my jobber of the year.
That's a good pick.
That's a really good pick. I'm trying to figure out who to give credit to here. But
Land_W.
yeah, thank you, Land, because that hit it on the nose. That was amazing. Only because his expectations were a little higher than where he's at right now, and he's had a shitty year, dude. Where's he at?
I mean, I feel genuinely bad for the guy.
Me too.
What did he do to deserve this? Is my question.
He literally did nothing. He got over in TNA.
He was a champ.
I mean that
He
that
was
was
their top champion.
that's
You're right.
probably his biggest sin. Was that he did good somewhere else, and he came back, and Vince is just like, "Oh no, that's not our product. Let's bury it."
He was kind of a shit promo all his time at WWE. Maybe they didn't give him the right amount of stuff
Shit
to work.
promo. How do you be a shit promo if he doesn't talk at all?
That's what
They didn't let him talk.
They didn't talk at all.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
EC3 should have been what MJF is now.
He could be. They have the same type of character.
The same, like, rich boy, like,
Right.
entitled. He's the top 1%, but flip that. He's the bottom 1%.
He's the total opposite.
Congrats, you're my jobber of the year, EC3. You did well. You did well this year.
All right, my jobber of the year.
Here we go.
There's
but
a lot to choose from.
There is.
Go on, Dick. You can go ahead.
No, go for it.
I'm actually gonna agree with Adam Bettany. I hope I got that. Bettany. Mojo Rawley. I thought that was a great one. There was a lot to choose from. You got your No Way Jose's out there. You got your you don't know Jack and Bella saying Brandon Cutler. I mean, Michael Nakazawa is also another great jabron. But I would go with Mojo Rawley just based on the fact that he was so like they were trying to repackage him, and he never kind of got into anything all year.
How many times has he been repackaged this year?
Oh.
Just this year.
I would go on twice, and it started like 2 weeks and then stopped, and then a month later they were talking about it, and then it just died a death.
And I think that's the problem with it's not just Mojo Rawley. It's with other superstars in on WWE as well. They have these start and stop pushes where you don't really care much for them.
No, that's the biggest problem WWE has, is that you don't care about any of these people. There's nothing to them at all.
They have like this certain idea for a wrestler to go one way, and then they give it a few weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, no, it's not going to work out, or I'm bored over it. A perfect example of that, and not as a jobber, is Humberto Carrillo.
I've been the same thing. Yeah,
very vocal about Humberto Carrillo, not because of he's not a good talent. He's a great talent. It's just they don't know what to do with them.
Mexican favoritism.
They don't know what to do with the guy.
I would even go one higher, and I would say Andrade.
Oh yeah.
Andrade's
Because Andrade is amazing in the ring, but they don't do anything with him. He's in there to enhance guys.
I'm curious to see what his 2020 looks like. That's an interesting character to work with.
Well, they're already teasing the Zelina Vega breakup.
Right.
So
I hope to God they don't do that.
We'll see. We'll see.
So who's your jobber of the year, Dickie boy?
Mojo Rawley's a good pick as far as what the hell they're doing with him.
Someone said Omega.
Omega.
We'll get on that, too.
Omega's been more of a disappointment than anything else.
Yeah.
By no means is he a jobber. I don't think he's a jobber at all. Disappointment, yes. EC3, I would agree with you as far as him not being used at all and why they even have him up there. I don't think he ever got a fair shake to begin with. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna say, if anything, I'm gonna go with Dolph Ziggler on this one, and the reason why
That's a good choice.
is because they've tried to push him as a main event guy this past year, and then he gets relegated back to being a lackey, and then they have like the stop and start push again, which is a recurring theme as well. Like, you can't take Dolph Ziggler seriously at this point.
Not when he comes out with a generic SmackDown hat on every week.
Yeah,
But to be fair though, at least he's like put in places where he's not so much Joe Bear. You know, he's like
He's still a threat.
Right, he's a threat. Good point. Yeah, he's still a threat.
But when you put him with Baron Corbin, I mean, I just look at both those guys and I'm just like, ugh.
Shout out to
God.
MJ Shackney for agreeing with you, Dick.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I would agree with him on that one.
Shout up next says Lucha House Party.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. Because all three of those guys are so fucking good.
Individually, yes.
Grand Metalik, Lince Dorado, Sin Cara 2. I can't think of his name right now. Kalisto. They're all really good by themselves, but then they make them come out with piñatas, and they really have no direction or character to them. They just come out and do the JOB and, go eat some tamales at home.
Right.
So yeah, great responses, guys. We're kind of agreeing with a lot of people are in agreement.
Yeah, good
You
responses.
guys make sense.
Let's go with Tag Team of the Year.
Oh, this one's a tough one.
What
are you guys thinking?
I mean, Viking Raiders have been on a tear pretty much all year. some people were saying the Revival. I wouldn't put the Revival there because I mean their 2019.
I'm
is
a bit
ending.
disappointed by the Revival, not by what they're doing in the ring, but rather how they're being treated. Stop start pushes. It's a recurring theme all along, and the same can be said for the OC as well.
Right. Undisputed Era is a good choice. Wow. I didn't think about that.
That's a good choice right there. I think they've been very consistent all year.
I-
Keep in mind though,
I
Bobby
like that,
Fish
but
has been injured for a good portion of this year.
That's a good point.
I like. I was gonna say the Undisputed Era is a great choice, but I feel like they focus more on the Adam Cole aspect. I feel like all the titles now that Undisputed had them all, they don't really defend them really.
That's true. It's
I actually I'm gonna go with Random Jerk 138 on this.
Oh, I love this guy. He's funny, dude.
Lucha Bros. Matt, that's my tag team of the year.
That's a decent pick.
Every time they go out there, they do nothing but make me smile ear to ear during the entire match.
Sports entertained you.
They
for
got
sure.
the Seattle Miedo, which I feel like they say that a little too much. But I mean, who can go wrong with Pentagon and Ray Phoenix?
And Ray Phoenix to me is you could make the argument say he's up there as like top 5 in the world. I mean,
By himself.
By himself.
as
yeah.
as an individual wrestler.
As an individual.
Wow, that's a bold choice. Top 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say that because just what he does in the ring.
You see him versus Nick Jackson?
No, I didn't see that match.
Oh my God! See,
You got to watch
this
that
is your
match,
problem.
dude.
You
No,
hate
bro.
AEW,
have
but
to
you
watch
don't
that
watch
match.
it.
Why? Okay, here we go, guys. When I watch AEW, it's what I do to fall asleep. It's
Jesus
no.
Christ.
Okay.
The
What about Raw?
Wait, the wrestling is so good, right? I get it. Boom, boom, blah. But come on, they need writers. All this stuff about where it's just like the writer or the wrestlers kind of write, for themselves. It's great and all, but there's no direction sometimes. Sometimes it's just all over the place. I think.
And what about Raw and SmackDown?
No. I
No,
would
Raw and
much rather
SmackDown.
take an unscripted promo than a scripted promo.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Like when I watch Raw or SmackDown, sometimes it gets boring and it gets out of there. But at
Sometimes?
least I know what to expect as far as like how narratives are told. At least it's telling some sort of narrative. But like AEW is all over the place. Like when that Jungle Boy faced Jericho, I was like, that's not interesting. I was like, that's the same.
Oh, you're
What
way
it-
off.
Why,
on
why
that
is it
one.
not interesting?
I was just like, oh god.
That match was
'Cause
awesome.
You know what the story is about, right? They're trying to tell a story about Jungle Boy who has had a poor record, and is saying like he can last 10 minutes with Jericho because Jericho says you can't last 10 minutes with me.
Right, but that to me that's just the waste of pushing a bigger story.
well, no,
Like,
they are pushing the bigger story.
They
The
are
bigger
pushing the
story
bigger
is
story.
the Moxley Jericho. That's what they're pushing.
That's part of the sub story right there to get to the bigger story of Moxley and Jericho. Look at the Miz. The Miz is just an offset, a setup for the Daniel Bryan Fiend rivalry.
so yeah, it's Jungle Boy Jericho and Fiend and Miz.
Right.
Same thing.
you see, I was
It's
so
to
bored,
tell the
I don't
bigger
even
story.
But
care.
you just said earlier though that the Fiend and Miz was a great storyline for that.
Right. But they're both like there was a long setup for that. The Jungle Boy thing just came out of nowhere for me. Like it's like okay. So
Well, no, because Jericho was like, I'm going to list off all the people I'm not going to fight, and then he didn't name off the Jungle Express team, and then they came out.
Jurassic
That's how they got
Express.
to it.
And yeah, then that was about 2 weeks ago on Dynamite.
Yeah,
He did list that. He had the list of names.
which was awesome because it's Jericho and it's a fucking perfect.
Well, the point is, get writers, guys. Like it's all over the place for me. I'm sorry.
No,
It's
I
just-
think you're mistaking the fact that they don't use writers. They don't use writers to write promos. So that's why you get people out there that when they say words, they actually mean them. Whereas WWE, they're handed a script and they're forced to read these words, and you can tell they don't believe. Look at Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was handed a script every week, and he was saying the most stupid stuff. He was saying things that I could tell he didn't believe in. Where I can see Scorpio Sky go out there, cut a promo on Jericho about how he's fought his way through the Indies to get to where he's at, and he's not going to take this chance for granted. And I fucking believed it, and I was all in on that match.
Well, I think what it is just a balance, right? You can't give each like. That's why there's script writers. That's why, like in acting and movies, you have to have some sort of authoritative voice to help you guide. Yeah, you can have some creative freedom, and I think WWE goes the complete other way and have all of
Way overproduced.
right. But at the same time, there's got to be a balance because I don't think to me it's just sloppy. It's just like what the fuck.
Well, you got to keep in mind WWE has been doing this for like 50 years. This is year one for AEW, and they're already leaps and bounds
And-
over Raw and SmackDown.
And look at the storylines that WWE has done this past year. And you talk about
that's
having
level.
writers in there. I mean, obviously the most recent example being
baby.
Lashley, Rusev. To me, that's the worst storyline of 2019. I'm just I'm dead tired of this storyline. It's going nowhere. What is the payoff to the storyline?
Tune in next week on SmackDown or Raw to
Oh
figure out.
God, no, that's why I don't care much about it. You look at Seth Rollins when he was facing the Fiend for the Universal Champion after he beat Brock Lesnar. They booked themselves into a corner where there was no outcome, and they made Seth Rollins look like a really weak babyface into that match, and they made the Fiend look way too strong. And look what happened: the Fiend won the belt, and they had to turn Seth Rollins heel after that, just because they booked themselves into a corner, and that's a story. That's a story they were telling that during the past couple months.
I like the idea that they're going in now where whenever you fight the Fiend, you don't come out the same way. They've done that with everybody. I don't know what they're going to do with The Miz, though. The Miz,
I don't know what they're going to do with the Miz either.
But the fact that
Champion.
good. Oh, okay. The fact that Daniel Bryan came back different, Seth Rollins came out of it different, and that's kind
Finn
of
Balor. I mean,
and
you
Finn
can make
Balor.
the argument with Finn Balor as well.
He made Finn Balor go to NXT.
It's like change brands, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little tangent.
And I think that's a little bit of a nice trinket to throw into the Fiend character.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's a thought out idea that isn't being booked like day of 10 minutes before
Yeah.
showtime. Who was your tag team of the year, Dick?
Okay, you said it was
I went with Lucha Bros.
Lucha Bros. I'm gonna
Interesting
go with Lucha Bros as well.
double lucha.
Mm-hmm. And then Byron.
All right, I'm gonna agree. I didn't even think about this, but it kind of makes sense now. I was gonna say the New Day, but I saw Boss Femme Fatale. Shout out to you. You've been putting on.
I was gonna say that was my honorable mention.
That's a pretty good pick.
That's an
right?
honorable mention.
Kabuki Warriors, because
Yeah.
they actually made something, and they're continuing to make something of this title. Like they're not just jobbing, and they're trying to make it something.
Oh,
And
the titles. The title started with Sasha and Bailey, then went to the Iconics that never wrestled with them, and now the Kabuki Warriors have them, and they've actually made them semi-relevant.
Right, and Asuka's fucking legit as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, Asuka's been legit, and so is Kairi Sane. They're both two of the best women's wrestlers on really on the main roster. I mean, I'd go as far as say two of the best that they have.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction for that division.
All right. After that, the next Put Me award, Match of the Year.
This
Oh,
is
this is
probably
gonna
the
be-
toughest.
This
one.
one's hard. I mean, I have some ideas of matches I would go with. Dick, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Who would you go with? I mean, just going off some of the responses, there's great ones to choose from.
There are, in 2019, if there's one thing I could say positive about it, there's been a lot of great quality wrestling matches throughout the year. You can go with, if you want to start off in January, you can go to the January 4th Tokyo Dome show with Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenny Omega. To me,
Oh,
that was a
shit.
great
That's a
matchup.
bam.
That's a great matchup right there. That started the year off right. You can also go with the finale for the Battle of the Super Juniors between Shingo Takagi and Will Ospreay.
Shout out to Shrakman.
Shrakman came up with that. I would be hard pressed to think of a better matchup. You can go a lot actually. There's just so many out there. I think whichever one you guys pick, I would almost not disagree with. But for me, I'm gonna probably go with Ospreay and Shingo for the final because that to me put Will Ospreay on the map to be really a heavyweight contender and a main event guy for this year. And I look, and in 2020, I'm just gonna say it's out there. I think it's gonna be Will Ospreay's year
in NJP,
I mean,
in general.
yeah, I think he needs to move somewhere else.
North America.
I think he needs to come over and try to take on North America. Put him in NWA. See what happens.
Oh my God, they would hate him.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause
yeah.
he's
Big time.
flippity.
Exactly.
And then that's the year with that's the thing with him is like he's evolving his style to where he doesn't have to rely on the flippity stuff.
Well, he's gonna have to.
He's becoming more of a technical wrestler, more all around approach.
Got to protect those knees, man.
Right.
Absolutely.
I can go next then.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, go
this-
next.
This one was tough because there's so many candidates like we talked about, but Cole Gargano is an obvious one. But I'm gonna go with something that we give no love to. I don't want to give it love, but I thought that match stands out just because I saw it earlier when we were looking at the top matches, which was Walter versus Bate. Because that
Ooh,
shit
good
was
choice, dude.
wild of a match. I did not expect it because my expectations for NXT UK things are pretty low, but that delivered on all fronts.
That just goes to show you how great Walter is, and Tyler Bate as well. Let's give him as much credit as well.
Yeah, that's my match of the year. There's a lot of good options, but that just stood out just because expectations weren't high and it over exceeded that. So,
I really liked Cody and Dustin at a Double or Nothing. Not only because I was there, but just I love the aftermath, the story that went into it. But I think I'm gonna give it up to Kofi and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a big moment. We all marked out. Remember that?
Dude, that's a feeling that I don't feel very often in wrestling. When Kofi finally won the title, I mean, it was I kind of thought it was predictable, but in a good way.
Right.
I thought it was the perfect way to go, the perfect way to get him to another level, and then send him right back down to where he was before. But
let's forget about that.
for that 6 months, Kofi was running wild for sure.
And sometimes predictability isn't always a bad thing,
Nah.
as long as it makes perfect sense. And at that point, when Kofi was getting his push back in January, remember how his push started was because Mustafa Ali was injured.
Yeah.
And Kofi was just a substitute for Mustafa Ali into the title picture. Then the fans started getting behind Kofi Kingston. He started getting over more and more. Eventually, he got his shot. I mean, it was kind of it was a stumbling start, but the way it ended at WrestleMania, it was a great match at WrestleMania. Let's not forget that. A great moment right there for Kofi. One of the better moments I would say for WrestleMania. Too bad it didn't end the show though. I think that should have ended WrestleMania was having Kofi win the belt and having him in the ring with his family. That would have been a great WrestleMania ending.
Absolutely.
His 6-month run was, I think WWE did a much better job than I would ever have given him credit, because I would have thought he would have been like a one and done champion, but they built him up for 6 months. Granted, some of the opponents weren't always top quality. I mean, you had Dolph Ziggler, you had Kevin Owens for a little bit. I think when they had him feud with Randy Orton, it made him more of a credible champion. But come October, I think everyone started seeing that it's just only a matter of time before Brock gets in there, and Brock was going to take the belt away from him. Not in 7 seconds.
And then not care about it the next week.
And not care about it. And that to me left a sour taste in my mouth for that moment. But it was still a great moment nonetheless.
Honorable mention though was the Kofi matches, the Gauntlet match.
Yeah, the Gauntlet match leading up to the Elimination Chamber was awesome.
And that Chamber match itself was pretty damn good, too. Well, it got me hyped for WrestleMania. So
The Gauntlet match definitely helped out in the beginning as well. It did.
I mean, look what a good Gauntlet match will do. Look what it did to Seth Rollins.
Right.
When he ran the Gauntlet. Same thing with Kofi. I thought they did a really good job with that. And then Gargano and Cole for
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
The first one.
That's a really big honorable mention for me.
It is. Funny they mentioned the Gauntlet match. Let's talk about this year in Gauntlet matches, because we've seen quite a bit of Gauntlet matches throughout this year, and it just seems like it's a theme that Raw has been using quite a bit. It started off very well with the Kofi Gauntlet match that lasted about an hour plus. Seth Rollins as well. And then just this past week on Raw, not this Raw, but the one that happened last Monday, they did a 1 hour Gauntlet match for the U.S. Championship with no finish.
That pissed me off to no end. It was a 50-minute long Gauntlet match, correct?
Yes.
And to end and just waste my time and have it end in a no finish, that was bullshit on so many different levels. I thought Andrade looked awesome. It was all leading up to Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo. Humberto Carrillo was a very sympathetic babyface, trying to overcome the odds. And then for end in a non-finish, that was ridiculous.
You built up the crowd for that long only to have a non-finish, and that
The crowd was pissed off.
rightfully so. I mean, and this is the thing that WWE has used throughout this year is with the no finish bullshit. It's just it's getting out of hand. You know, you need to have you can do it once in a blue moon, but in a situation like that where you have a Gauntlet match where you have a clear-cut winner, that's just that's an easy cop out that makes no sense at all.
Or the double count out from the Viking Raiders and the OC was another. I mean, it was a good match, and then it ends in a double count out just because you don't want to make the Viking Raiders look weak in that
Right.
instance. And I get that too. You want to build some intrigue going into when they finally go for the titles. Let's not forget Vince McMahon was booking Gauntlet matches and 2 out of 3 falls matches out of necessity because he didn't want commercials during television during matches. So we were definitely gifted a lot of those multi-fall matches because of all that. Anything else on this one, guys? I want to get into the next
Put me.
the next Put Me award.
I think we've said enough as far as the match of the year goes.
All right.
Shout out to Dave Kwan. He just says, fuck you for hating AEW. Well, fuck you, Dave Kwan, piece of shit.
Let's get into our female wrestler of the year. This is a hot category. There's a lot to choose from.
This is tough.
I have like 3-4 different people that I would want to put in this top wrestler spot. Byron, let's start with you. Who's your woman of the year?
not Luna Vachon, as the photo says.
Well, that's woman of the fucking century.
Yep. A lot of people are saying Charlotte, surprisingly, right? In all the fans. Random Jerk says Tessa Blanchard, so that's kind of hilarious. I'm gonna go.
Tessa's awesome, but
Tessa is
definitely not the rest of the
amazing.
year. I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch, guys, because I think right now even that Raw promo she cut last week kind of took her away from a little dull spell she had.
she's cooled down a lot since WrestleMania.
right, but
She has.
for a while there, she was carrying the WWE and she's main eventing some of these pay-per-views. Yeah, they haven't been the best matches, but it's still a big responsibility, and it shows that she's able to take that challenge on, and I think she's doing fine. Yeah,
She
Becky forever.
Becky needs Ronda.
Yeah,
I think that's a lot of reason why it cooled down a lot. No Ronda.
Absolutely.
That was Batman and Joker. That was Power Rangers and Rita Repulsa.
Right.
They need each other. But Becky, without her, she was still awesome, but cooled down quite a bit. Didn't have the same fire she had during all that. Remember when they got in a fight in the leading up to WrestleMania? They got
Car?
the car thing, all that that was so dope. And I haven't seen that kind of fire out of her in a really long time.
I'm here for the Oscar Becky stuff.
But with Asuka Becky,
Let's do it.
they finally were like, oh yeah, we have a storyline right here in front of us. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And they're finally doing that.
And I give Paul Heyman credit for going back to that storyline. It was about a year ago that they had their match. Remember, Asuka's had 2 wins on Becky at TLC last year and at the Royal Rumble.
made her tap out.
You're right. And Heyman was smart enough to realize, wait a minute, we have something going on with this. So I give him credit for doing that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Becky for this year goes, you could say she is the wrestler of the year. I would female wrestler of the year. I would say I wouldn't disagree with you on that. After WrestleMania though, she has cooled off considerably. Look at the feuds she was in with Lacey Evans. She was back and forth with Charlotte for a little bit, and now they were doing this quasi tag team against the Kabuki Warriors, and now they're getting into the year off with Asuka. So it's back and forth. You can make the argument and say well, Becky has done quite a bit, but she definitely has cooled off after WrestleMania though. I would agree with you on that. For me, though, I would say it's going to double as both female and breakout for me. I might as well kill both of them right now, and that's Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley is...
She's had a fantastic couple months.
Since the moment I saw her, I knew she was going to be a giant star. She carries herself differently. She just has a swagger to her. She has the look of a killer. She's the entire package. There's a reason why they took her out of NXT UK and put her on a national platform, because she is that good, and she's gonna keep being that good. I agree with you, Dick. Rhea Ripley is gonna be a mega star. Definitely deserving of both awards.
And she topped the year off by beating Shayna Baszler
in a hell of a match.
in a great match on last week's
week
episode
on
of
NXT. That's one thing I will say about NXT. NXT is giving AEW a giant run for their money. There's a reason why the balances have kind of shifted in NXT's favor, because they're giving us takeover level matches every week. Not only that, but they're also getting promoted on SmackDown and Raw every week.
Good job, H.
It's really smart. It's a smart play. AEW has their one platform, where WWE has multiple platforms, so might as well get the word out about NXT. But we'll see how that all goes. My woman of the year, and this was kind of hard because I did want to go with Rhea Ripley for my woman of the year. Becky Lynch, I mean, obviously. But I think I'm going to agree with you, Dick. I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley as woman of the year because she's just that good. And she's going to be good next year. Not my rising star. I have a different one for rising star.
I mean, I would say that as well. And then let's mention some honorable mentions as well. We did mention Tessa Blanchard. I think she has a huge upside as well. She's been getting better and better each year.
She needs to go to a major promotion, though.
I think she will.
Yeah,
she will eventually go in the next couple of years. I could see that happening. I would say someone that we haven't really talked about is Riho.
Yes.
She is the AEW Women's Champion.
That's one thing AEW is doing right now that I don't like. I haven't seen her.
Division.
I haven't seen her on TV in so long. But Riho is awesome. I'm a big fan of Riho.
And with Riho, the one thing I'll say is that she can win the crowd back. She's done that very well.
Absolutely. Because she looks so sweet and innocent, and when she's in distress, I feel really bad for her.
And she's actually very good in the ring as well. She's a great talent.
Yeah. She can sell her ass off too, just because she's so small. Also, I mean, from AEW side, I really like Hikaru Shida. I think she's gonna be big next year.
Another honorable mention.
Do you have any honorables?
Charlotte Flair. People think she jobs, but I mean, it wasn't her year to have a dominant year.
Yeah.
I think whatever WWE asks of her, she's a company woman, and she's always going to be that important. She should be female of the year contender every fucking year.
And you hit that on the head right there when she says that she's a company woman and that she does anything that the company has asked. And Ric Flair had just actually recently had criticized the WWE and how they portray Charlotte, and that they see her as someone who's kind of like a yes woman who will do anything that the company has asked, but isn't really utilizing her to her full potential.
She'll get a year where she's just gonna totally dominate.
But didn't Rick kind of be that person for a while?
Yeah, he was.
He put over everybody.
He did.
Rick's kind of senile now, guys. So sorry.
I mean, he's up there at 7 years old. I mean, and keep in mind though, Charlotte has she was a SmackDown Women's Champion twice this year.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the year,
She's like a 9-time champ already.
she is a 9-time champion, and then she had a quick run with the SmackDown Women's Champion before Bayley cashed in on her.
Yeah.
Remember that did happen this year.
About that.
Don't forget about Io Shirai too. Io Shirai, I think, needs more love.
Yeah.
She needs more love as well.
She turned heel and completely reinvented herself and made her even more of a killer than what she was already. So I would give a huge honorable mention to Io Shirai.
But I think
this year,
I think her losing to Shayna on multiple times did cool her down to an extent.
Shayna too. Shayna needs an honorable mention too.
Shayna,
She
you know
had
what?
a
That's
good
actually-
fucking
yeah,
run.
you
Shayna's
know what?
had a great run.
She's
We forget
like
about Shayna.
Yeah, she's a legit ass wrestler, dude. That Rhea Ripley match for the title, I was hooked.
they had me big time.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker. They had me with
she's
her.
carried 2019 not only for NXT in their women's division, but also the women's division in general for the landscape.
Damn, I wish I could take back my woman of the year.
Yeah,
I want to
Shayna
give it. I'm gonna give it to Shayna actually now.
I
Now
don't
that you
blame
mention
you.
it.
I mean,
Yeah, she had a good
that's
fucking year.
that's
She was
that's
champ-
another great mention.
Almost all year.
She was
Practically the entire year, yeah.
400-something days, I thought. So
So yeah, Shayna Baszler is my woman of the year for sure. The submission magician.
And at this point, you definitely
Shayna
put her on
Mongo
the
McMichael.
you put her on the main roster. You put her on the main roster. What do you do with her as far as
possibilities are endless, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good introduction, get her started off right. Have Charlotte put her over.
oh god
At WrestleMania,
You know
make
what?
Charlotte tap out to Shayna Baszler.
Okay.
That would make her instant heel, and fucking kill her.
Depending on what they're gonna do with Becky and Asuka, I would say if Becky does go over Asuka, which I think that's gonna be that's what it's looking toward.
Yeah,
To get her win back, you have Shayna debut after that match, have her attack Becky, and you could set up for either the February pay-per-view, or if you want to do decent long-term storyline, WrestleMania.
yeah. I think that'd be I mean, all roads lead to WrestleMania. I think we're gonna get Asuka and Becky. I think that we're gonna get that blow off at Royal Rumble. I think maybe Becky has bigger fish to fry, which I mean, Asuka would be the biggest fish I think right now
At the moment.
Let's get into our rising star of the year. Someone that's gonna start it off this year and has like big potential for next year coming up. A lot of call-ups from NXT going to the main roster, which apparently you can't say anymore. Did you know that? They don't call them main roster call-ups anymore.
What do they call them?
They just say
Transition?
I don't know what they say, but I was listening to the Corey Graves podcast, the After the Bell, which, I mean, we're still at war, but it's a good podcast.
Fuck you, Corey
You
Graves.
should go listen to it. He was saying that they can't say call-ups anymore. NXT call-ups is like not a thing they can say on air anymore.
I mean, to be fair, they're on equal footing with Raw and SmackDown. So that I guess that's one way to stay face about it.
I would say they're better than both, but yeah.
I agree. So then, do these guys get into Raw and SmackDown at will, or we have to wait till the draft? I mean, it seems like it's kind of like we don't know what's going to happen. You know.
Well, especially the last couple of weeks, they called up Chelsea Green last night on
that was
Raw,
They did.
and then the week before that they called up what was her name?
Deonna Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo. Yes. So I mean, they're kind of just wild carding it. I don't know.
I wonder if they're gonna do that.
They're
'Cause
wild
the
carding, but they're not wild carding at the same time.
Well, are they still on NXT or no?
Yeah, I
So-
think.
So maybe it's just a trial run. Who knows what they're doing?
Which is they've done that before in the past.
But if they want to give him a trial run, you'd think they'd give him like a victory or something. Maybe pin Charlotte like with a quick roll up 1, 2, 3 kid style or something. I don't know.
And
I
I
thought
think
that
that
was
just
weird.
I think that just goes to show you the lack of depth on the women's rosters for both Raw and SmackDown, as far as they have to call up NXT talent to be an enhancement talent of sorts for the women.
Yeah. Definitely not enough for a tag division, that's for sure.
Definitely not. And then again, that's one of the many problems that they've had.
But yeah, this is going to be someone that got in 2019, had a big impact, and has more impact going forward. I think I'm going to take this one first.
Go ahead. I
My
already said mine. So go
my
for it.
rising star
Oh yeah, you did.
of 2019 going into 2020, bask in his glory, Baskin Robbins, Keith Lee.
Yay.
Keith Lee is going to
Agree.
be. I think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. I think he deserves everything that Vince McMahon wants to put on him. He's going to be huge. We knew it back when we saw him in PWG. This man is a freak. I've never seen a refrigerator jump out of a ring before.
How does he move like that?
Without
Unreal.
He's so physically gifted.
his ACL joints must be so thick. They're not going to tear ever because he does some crazy shit. I'm like, I would have torn both my ACLs on that jump easily.
And he's had the gift of the last couple of months at least when he totally chucks the shit out of Adam Cole.
And you just look at his facials and like what he can say in the ring without saying words. Keith Lee, I think, is going to be a huge star next year.
And his mic skills are very good. I mean, he's a good promo guy.
When they don't give him a script, sometimes I've seen him and like, God, that
Reading
was
is hard
kinda
for
rough.
him.
I wouldn't say reading's hard.
Not so much that. It's just what
They're gonna give him stupid shit to say.
Yeah, and that's not just him. That's just a problem with in general. Him on the mic. If you go outside of NXT, I mean, he's always been a great mic. He's always been. He knows what to say. He knows how to say
It's
it.
great on the stick.
Yes,
The butter stick.
Yeah, that's probably. He's definitely a top candidate. I agree with a lot of our people.
MJS Hackney, I think me and him are like the same, dude.
that
We-
guy's a good
we
guy.
we have a lot of good things. Srackman says Jake Atlas was big on the indie scene. I think Jake Atlas is going to be huge.
I agree.
He's going to be coming up.
Osprey's a big one because his was breakout year. but
I
he's
think this is
past
breakout
that.
year as well.
Adam Cole. A lot of people are saying Adam Cole.
Qualified because he's been beast.
I wouldn't put him as a rising star because how do you be a rising star and NXT champion?
Right.
He's definitely put NXT on his back.
Right.
Um,
Because last year he was NXT champion.
yeah. I don't know if he's a rising star. I would put him. He's more of in a category of man of the year. I would put him up there.
There is one response on here that Kofi Kingston as rising star of the
That's
year.
kinda funny.
I mean,
11
Slightly disrespectful.
yeah, that's
Super disrespectful.
11 years too late, I'd say.
Yeah, that's the slowly star.
Jackson Riley says Pete Dunne.
I would think Pete Dunne has been the
He has
bruiserweight.
he has big potential. He's cooled down a lot.
He has
after his bouts with Trent Seven and Tyler Bate.
Right.
He kind of just doesn't really have anywhere to go right now. But
He's
he could.
Right.
he's been floating in and out of NXT UK and NXT as well. For the most part, like this past year, he's been feuding with the Undisputed Era. It's what it just seems like. It just seems like it just blurred into like.
But
that-
kind of random, not like set up
Yeah.
in a way.
Just like a match.
Kind of like your argument against AEW.
I hate him. Fuck AEW. But my rising star is just. I was gonna say Keith Lee, but I'll give this person credit. None of these people here, but Aleister Black. I think his star is only
Ooh.
gonna go higher. That Buddy Murphy match should, and that little feud should put them both over.
Yeah.
And 2020 is gonna be a title run of some sort for him.
Alistair, I was wondering how they could fuck up Aleister Black, and I feel like they did.
They did.
You put him in a room and have him just cut promos. That's not a way to show off Aleister Black and what he can do. But I think 2020, he should be out there doing more.
Yeah, I think he'll have a big 2020.
I hope he recovers from this.
2020.
20.
All right, guys. This is the main event.
This is the hardest one.
Probably the hardest one. Yeah.
because there's so many good performers this year. I'll tell you, it's not Kenny Omega because he's jobbing on AEW. Good job with that.
Well, okay. The problem with that, I will agree with you. He is not the Kenny Omega we saw in New Japan, but this is a new company. They have new people they need to make popular and give like a footing to. So he's being the company man, and he'll take some losses. He's not even that low on the pecking order when it comes to like main event contenders. He's only lost what 3 matches,
I think three matches
one-on-one
so
matches.
far. And if you go by
fine.
the ranking system, he is the number 2 ranked contender for the world title.
And it's only Moxley who's lost like 1 match. So I mean, he's fine. He's fine. Relax, guys. It's gonna be fine.
I just want to say this real quickly now that you mention it. Last week, I think there was a lot of backlash from fans about how AEW turned out with the Dark Order, and then to a greater extent how the Elite are being used.
Yeah,
we
can talk about it for sure.
It's a situation where it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, where if they put over the talent, it's going to be at their expense, and people are going to say, well, you're just making yourselves look weaker and weaker, not giving yourselves as much like you're not as influential, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Your stock is dropping.
Your stock is dropped. There you go. Thank you. Like their stock is dropped if they put over the talent. On the other hand, if they were to book themselves strong, you would hear the argument saying, well, you guys are doing it. You guys are the owners.
You have the book. You
have
can
the
do
booking.
it. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So I understand why they're doing it, because they want to get, in the end, they want to try to get more talent over so that way they have a bigger roster to mess with.
And what I will say about AEW, it's not, I mean, wins and losses matter, but the content of the match actually has a lot to do with how these people get over and how they're perceived. Kenny Omega can lose a match, but that match is going to be awesome on, the whole time. And I think that's what they're trying to get over. They're trying to get over not so much the result, but the whole match as itself. Look at what they did when Trent fought Pentagon. I thought that was an awesome match. I thought the fact that Trent is known as a singles guy, he went out there, as a tag team guy. He went out there and tore the house down with Pentagon. That was probably my match of the night that night. Give it time, guys. I feel like I went on wrestling Twitter the other day and I wanted to just rip out the last little bit of hair that I have in my head because people are just it's so toxic and they just hate everything. No one likes anything. Like, just relax, guys. Give it some time. And no one's saying Rome wasn't built in a day. WWE wasn't
Roman
built
Reigns
in a day.
was.
Oh yeah, excuse me.
Well, that's the exception.
The big dog
That's
was
the
built in a
exception.
day.
That's the exception. But going to what you're saying though, I think it's about the toxic community of the fans is that it is a small minority. I don't think every wrestling fan is like that. There might be certain biases that fans do have, but I think it's a small minority where you see the toxicness that is within the community, and it's not just the wrestling community.
It's
itself.
Byron.
No, I literally
But
just hate AEW.
but it's not just the wrestling community. It's with all these fandoms that are going on, like a lot of the fan culture,
Libtards.
Star Wars, Dragon Ball, Marvel. I'm just giving it as an example. You have that small minority that
Vocal.
very vocal, and it's more toxic. It's more negative than positive.
Yeah, let's just have fun. I mean, be critical, when it's warranted. But if you want to sit and nitpick and pick apart every little thing, which we can do on the show sometimes, you're gonna have a bad time. I'm not excusing AEW for their faults. I mean, they've had like audio issues, they've had some storyline issues, they've had plot holes, they've had too many dark factions. I think is a problem in the company right now.
It is.
You add you have the Dark Order who. I mean, those punches looked really bad last week.
It did.
It caused a whole Twitter storm on that, and that's what got me down that wrestling Twitter rabbit hole. They just have to nail some stuff down, tighten some screws.
The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny is another.
That was the point I was talking about. That's another dark faction. You have the Nightmare Collective, which is another dark faction, and then there's one more. I feel like.
Those are mainly the 3 in AEW.
Yeah, but that's 3 too many. That's too many.
It is, and then with us, like we criticize as much as we praise. If for me, I'll speak for myself. If there's something I like, I will give it praise. If there's something that I think needs to be criticized, I'm going to be the same way as well. I try to be as unbiased as I can be,
and we usually see eye to eye.
And we try to see eye to eye. All of us really do. I mean, even
except Byron.
No, I'm pretty
No,
fair.
Byron-
I'm fair. I'll give you credit. I think Chris Jericho's a top 5 male performer. He was in my top 5 list. He is in AEW, but he's one of the bright spots of AEW.
there's some praise right there. So
Little
there's
bit.
praise and criticism with what we have. But going back to 2019, more
Yeah.
importantly, what is going to be the male wrestler of the year? And there's been a lot of great answers. Just to list a few, I guess I'll go ahead and get the ball rolling. Obviously the most glaring example would be Adam Cole. I think he's carried 2019 consistently. He wasn't the champion in the beginning of the year, but he was in the title contention. He's had great matches throughout the year with Johnny Gargano, most recently with Finn Balor,
The War Games match.
the War Games match.
He's basically the George Washington of the Wednesday Night Wars.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He's the general right now, leading the charge. So is that going to be your man of the year?
I'm going to go with him.
It's a good one.
It's a good one because I think consistently he has proven in and out that he is the top guy in WWE.
That's a good choice.
I like that you said not just in NXT, but in WWE. Exactly. I'm gonna go. I mean, there's a lot of
So
options.
many good choices
There's a
here.
lot of
Shout
different
out
options.
to everybody for choosing. Shorty G by Daniel Topher for Wrestler of the Year. Sorry.
I think you meant to vote that in Jobber of the Year.
I think you picked the wrong. Yep.
I'm gonna go with something. No one has said this guy, but this is my man of the year. Y2J, Chris Jericho.
That's a good pick. He's in my top
That's
5.
a good pick as well.
He is le champion. Anything he touches turns to gold. He has not only is he like great out there on the mic without a script, he's out there having great matches at almost 50 years old. And
shitty music though. But still.
no, actually, Judas is a fucking
That's not a
awesome
bad
song.
song.
That's a good
pretty
song.
good song.
I think when it comes to his entrance song, I think that's probably his best one so far.
I mean, Break the Walls Down is iconic, but
It's
Countdown.
iconic, but I would say Judas is up there.
not only is he tearing it up in AEW, but he's also going to New Japan and having matches there too.
Yeah.
Jericho is dare I say, my man of the decade. Because this is actually the last show of the 2010s,
Dots.
the end of the decade.
He's had a very good decade now that you mention it. I mean,
He's had a great decade.
in 2010, he was the best in the world character, and he was going into WrestleMania as the world heavyweight champion.
Yep.
Damn, what a decade! Congrats.
2012, he came back to challenge CM Punk, best in the world versus best in the world.
Could have been a better match.
It could have
but
been a better rivalry, but I think their match at the following pay-per-view was much better.
yeah. The story of it
The
all was
story of
great.
it all was it definitely was an improvement.
Because Jericho's smart, and he's like, you know what? It's right here in front of us. Why are we going to try to make this difficult? Like, let's just best of the world versus best in the world.
That's a good pick for Wrestler of the Year. That's definitely hard to argue with.
And now he has AEW firmly attached to his back, and he's
Yeah.
just carrying it.
He has to right now.
Any highlight? I mean, obviously there's highlights in the AEW Dynamite show, but it's mostly people talking about Jericho.
He has been their constant positive for that company this
What
year.
a big responsibility that guy has. That's insane if you think about it. He jumps from, what's known like New Japan and WWE, and now he's like the face of AEW. Good job on you. And he's running with whatever he has. So
He knows what to do. He's been in the business for so long. He's seen it all that he knows what works and what doesn't work.
And he's smart about the meme game.
Yeah.
He knows that a
Yes.
lot of his things he says are going to get turned into memes, and then they get turned into T-shirts or bottles of champagne, and here he is making money on top of all that.
yeah, he's reinventing himself all the time. He's open to change, and good job, motherfucker.
Absolutely.
I like when he brought out the Lexicon of Le Champion, and he's like, people are chanting the list, and he's like, oh, come on, guys. That's so 2016. Like, God. And no one wrote that for him to say. He just said it. So good. All right, so that's my man of the year.
Mine is tough because I could go with the Kofi route, but I'm not going to because obviously his end of the year is not turning out so well, even though he's still getting booked pretty well. I'm going to go with the best pro wrestler in wrestling, Daniel Bryan.
Good choice.
He's probably the best right now.
Somalius said that.
So shout out to him. But yeah, there's no one better in the ring.
That was my number 2. That was my honorable mention.
He's up there with the greats. He's solidified himself as one of the best of all time. Top 10 maybe ever. Who knows? But that's a topic for
That's a debate. That's a debate later on in
but
down
yeah,
the road.
Daniel Bryan's had the greatest year. He put Kofi over pretty much, and
Yeah.
did a damn good job with it. It only worked so well that WrestleMania moment that's an ideal competitor for Kofi, and just that moment alone shoots him to the top. Now his whole American Dragon, he's back,
Oof.
and like you said, he looks 20 years younger.
It's like he was back how he looked back in 2010
when he was on NXT, the TV
Right.
show, not
Right.
the brand.
I know. The Planet Champion is the wrestler of the year in my book. So yeah.
I
So-
feel like they could have went so much further with it. And
I think
they
so,
were
too.
going down that road and they stopped. they gave him the eco-friendly title. Like they were going that way and then they just stopped it. But Dan O'Brien definitely would be my number 2 wrestler
what a
of the
great
year.
year.
he's definitely had a great year
And came back from all that adversity
Yeah.
of not being able to wrestle and like no one knew where he was going to go. And now he came back and I feel like they kind of bungled his return because he came back and then, Dan O'Brien's back. All right, next, big dog, big dog. But Dan O'Brien definitely, yeah.
He can, make shit out of lemonade. Is that how the phrase goes? Shit out of lemonade.
chicken salad, chicken shit.
Same shit.
Chicken empanada is chicken shit.
I'm hungry.
Whatever. What's a vegan thing? He can
Chicken. Chick with the apostrophe chicken.
turn
He makes
tofu,
chickpea out of chicken shit.
turn toffee into tofu.
Something like that.
We'll work on that when we get it. We'll work on that.
Those were all the put me over categories. I mean, we can go one more. What would be like story of the year?
Until the day I die, clearly. There you go,
Nice.
guys. There you go.
Nice.
And that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for.
End segment.
I don't know what would be like big storyline. I mean, Kofi winning the title is a
That's
big
mine.
one.
That's just the obvious one. I
That's
would
like
say.
the one of the decade too.
Yeah, that's a big moment.
Maybe not the decade, but the last couple of years.
Right.
Now, when we mean
the Fiend-
storyline,
The Fiend.
Firefly Funhouse for me
Oh,
would
yeah.
be
That's a good ass pick.
that would be my story of the year until the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that they've gone out of their comfort zone to let Bray kind of go crazy with this character. There's been fallout to people he's wrestled. God damn, the Fiend might even be my man of the year now that I think about it. But
Oh, wow.
nope,
I didn't mention him.
Jericho is my man. But just the way that they've kind of let him kind of go crazy with his own character, minus that ugly title that they want to sell for $7,000. Bray Wyatt, the whole story of the Firefly Funhouse has been my thing of the year. Dick,
story of the year.
so the did I.
Did it.
I mean, I think to me, are we talking about like wrestling storylines or just like as far as like kayfabe stories, or are we talking about like
Novels? Just kidding. No.
or as far as like news segments?
Anything.
Anything like moment of the year,
Oh,
Moment of
I
the year.
mean,
or I guess
Yeah.
lump all that in together.
I mean, AEW.
Oh, that's
Debuting.
a really good one.
That's an obvious
That
plot
that
point.
that to me, you can't ignore that. I mean, that trumps any storyline, any story that has been for this year is the fact that AEW has debuted. It's changed the landscape.
It changed the universe.
Wow,
you
that-
can't change that.
That actually coincides with mine. Actually, I was gonna say Kofi, but I think it's the Wednesday Night War. That's the storyline of
Yeah.
because it's the start of something. We'll see from a year from now where everybody's at, but I think the Wednesday Night War is a big. I think it's probably one of the biggest plot points of 2019.
It's
And-
making us change our format.
Right.
You know what?
Too
though?
much fucking wrestling. That's the plot
It
point.
is, but I think to me, it's changed my focus on wrestling from instead of being Monday and Fridays or Monday and Tuesdays as it was earlier in the year to Wednesdays now. And another thing we didn't talk about this year was SmackDown. It moved from Tuesdays on USA to Fox on Fridays.
Yeah, the Fox
starting in
deal was
October.
a pretty big story too.
It was a big deal as well. And we didn't mention about that. That's another interesting topic for this year as well, is that SmackDown is now on network TV again. Is that going to draw more fans? Is it, like, what's going to happen down the road as well? So that's another interesting question right there.
At its best, it's pulling in 4 million people, and that's a shitload of people to be watching wrestling on a Friday night.
Where are all these? There's so many fucking people in this world. Jesus Christ.
There is. In the grand scheme of things, there are a lot of people in this world.
Too much fucking wrestling. Let's narrow it down. Let's keep it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, guys. Please. It's just easier for us.
Speaking of which, you know what today is? It's Christmas Eve. That means Santa Claus is coming to town. So- If you guys want to go ahead and sit on my lap, and if you guys want to sit on the lap of Santa, let's ask Santa what we want going forward in 2020. What do we want from Santa this year or coming up?
Yeah. 2020.
So if Santa was here, what would you ask him for 2020 in wrestling?
I'll go first. We'll just
Go for it.
here.
Not a replica title or anything, but like something big you would like to happen in 2020.
By the way, that replica title I told you guys it was $70 at Target yesterday, and there's no reason for a grown man to buy that. And plus, my girlfriend called me out on it, so I didn't buy it.
But for $70, that's a pretty good deal.
That's a real
That's
30%
that's not
off.
a bad deal.
It's $100 normally. Crazy. But anyway, my this is recency bias, but what I want for 2020 is a long, lengthy Samoa Joe title run.
Ooh.
Big run, because I think you can tell he's on the verge of coming back, and if he never had the world title in WWE yet,
He never did.
not main roster at least, yeah, give him the title, let him run with it. We'll see what he can do. That's my wish.
I think going on the Samoa Joe title run, I mean, if they were to do it, they would have done it a few years ago. I think that his stock has dropped a lot after losing all those title opportunity matches.
Yep.
If he does get the title, that would be a great story for him.
And then injuries on top of that.
Then injuries on top of that
Right.
is another consideration as well. I don't know though, but that I'm not disagreeing with you on that one. I think that would be a nice way for Joe to have his career in WWE end. For me, I think would be to see where really where the landscape goes, because I think Wednesday night is going to be the focus point as far as wrestling going forward. The more interesting story is Raw's declining viewership every year. Every week it's going down more and more. I would not be surprised if this Raw from yesterday, from December 23rd, goes under 2 million. If that's the case, that's the lowest rated Raw ever.
This week?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
It's hard
and
to
it's
watch.
it was
it's not
taped
a
last week.
and it's
so-
not a holiday show.
Oh, next week, you mean?
No, this one is not a holiday show because it's not on a holiday. Technically, it's on a regular day if you think about it.
Are you talking about Raw from last night?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it was their holiday show because they filmed it last week. So that's probably going to hurt the ratings as well, is the fact that they recorded it last week. But so what did you ask for Christmas?
For
From
me?
Wrestling Santa?
Consistency for Wednesday night for it to be the way it is. I mean, I think that's their focal point right now is for wrestling fans is Wednesday nights, and for it to give us a good quality, and for it, I mean, for me it's Wednesday night, and to keep it good, keep it consistent,
Keep it fresh.
keep it fresh.
That's
on,
gonna be
on
the hard
both
part.
sides. I think for both NXT and for AEW. I'd like to see where they're both going to go down the road, and to see if they can build their audience. If they can build their audience, that to me is going to be the biggest. It's going to be the biggest challenge for everyone is to build an audience, because you have a dwindling audience that is decreasing each year.
Getting burned out too from
Getting-
all this
and-
wrestling.
and all this
That's
wrestling as
true.
well is not helping.
My wish from Wrestling Santa would be there's a couple things. I mean, I would like to see CM Punk come back in 2020. I think WWE needs someone like him to come back, and you know, maybe we get that Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania. Who knows? But
Do you
I
think
mean-
it's going to be this WrestleMania, or is it going to be down the road?
well, time isn't on Punk's side. So if he wants to come back, he needs to do it relatively soon. I don't think he can wait 2 years to come back, because then I think the bloom will be off the pedal anyways, because he's on backstage now. A lot of people hate on CM Punk, and my thought process of it is he's a huge star. He needs to be cutting promos or doing something wrestling related if he wants to. I mean, if he doesn't, then fucking I can go suck my own dick. But I think CM Punk coming back would be a big one. I also think selfishly I want AEW to come to LA.
I think they will eventually make the move. Right
think
now, they're just kind of doing like a sweep of the area. They're working on the East Coast. Jacksonville is going to be their home territory.
could
That's
tell,
after that's where Tony Khan resides, and that's where the headquarters are going to be. I think they're eventually going to make their way to LA. Definitely by the end of 2020. But going back to the CM Punk, let me ask you a question. Do you think it was a wise decision to have him be on backstage, to have him have his, I guess, not really his official foot back in the company, but kind of like teasing him back in the folds of WWE by having him be on backstage instead of maybe saving it for a more eventful moment?
I think they all thought it was going to be bigger impact. CM Punk himself said, "I'm ready to break the internet," which didn't really happen. I don't know, because he's not employed by WWE. Like, this is the only thing that they could do, really.
Right.
But I kind of wish he would have saved any kind of return to wrestling for, a WrestleMania moment or a Royal Rumble moment or something. I mean, even if he was just coming out to cut a promo, or comes out for like 20 seconds and run out of time, whatever, I would have been fine with that more than what they did on backstage.
And do you think that he will eventually come back in the ring?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Because if you think about it now, wrestlers don't always quit. Like when they say they're done in the ring, that's usually they'll take a couple years off, and then maybe we'll see how they are down the road. No wrestler retires.
No, I mean, look at Ric Flair. Ric Flair had the best send-off ever and came back to Wrestling Impact. You look at Shawn Michaels. You look at Mick Foley. You look at fucking Ultimate Warrior. Not Ultimate Warrior. He never wanted to come back. Look at Bret Hart. Bret Hart got screwed. Went away for 12 years, still came back. They always come back.
They do.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of said what I want earlier when I came up to the Shayna Baszler coming to the main roster to challenge Becky Lynch. I think that's what I want the most.
That's pretty big time.
I would like to see
That's
that.
a big time.
I can see that happening.
What do you guys want? That's gonna do it for us.
You know what else I want?
Sex.
I want you guys to please share this podcast, and let's get more listeners for 2020.
Yeah,
let's
that's a
do
good
that.
one.
And do us a favor too. We're gonna post our list of all these put me's. Like, disagree, tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong. Post them up, and yeah, feel free to.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, downloading, telling your friends, telling your neighbors, telling your friends' neighbors. We got a lot more coming up for 2020, guys. We got episode 100, 12 episodes away. So in 12 short weeks, we're going to do some kind of live, not sure exactly, but
Maybe
we're going to
a
have
party. Who knows?
We can have a party, definitely special guests. Maybe we can bring back the $100 man for that one.
Maybe Mandy.
Maybe Bulgogi Hogan.
There's a lot of possibilities coming up for 100. The road to 100 is still going strong.
Yeah, so thank you guys for being with us this long. We'll be back next week as our regularly scheduled time. But until then, hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And yeah, we'll go from there. But we never forget, guys, we are the new World Order Professional Podcasting, and we will see you in 2020.